Millions of Brits treat their own coastline like an afterthought, saving every holiday budget for Spain or the Caribbean instead. They picture grey ferries, cold water, nothing worth the trip. Then they actually visit one of these islands and realise they'd been ignoring something spectacular the entire time. I ranked 16 UK islands, from the ones barely worth the ferry ticket to the one you should be booking right now, so you don't waste your next holiday finding that out yourself. Number 16. Canvey Island, England. From above, Canvey looks like any other flat stretch of Thames estuary coastline. Bungalows, a seafront, nothing dramatic. But on the night of January 31st, 1953, a storm surge broke through earthen defences that hadn't changed much since the Dutch built them 300 years earlier. 58 people died here that night, more than any other town in England. The response took 3 decades, 15 miles of concrete seawall, finished only in 1983. Canvey's coastline isn't just a view, it's a scar tissue map of one catastrophic night, poured in concrete and still standing guard. Number 15. Isle of Portland, England. How does a lump of Dorset rock end up on 2 different continents at once? When I looked into Portland's quarries, the answer surprised me. This tide island's limestone rebuilt St. Paul's Cathedral after the Great Fire of London, and it's also sitting in the walls of the United Nations headquarters in New York. Same stone, same quarries, 2 of the most significant buildings on Earth. Portland is barely 5 miles south of Weymouth, easy to overlook on a map. But its export list reads like a highlight reel of Western architecture. Proof that scale doesn't require size, just the right rock in the right place. Number 14. Drake's Island, England. When I dug into what this 6-acre island in Plymouth Sound had actually been used for, the list kept growing. A 12th century chapel, a 400-year military fortress bristling with cannons, a Cold War-era barracks. Then, in the 1960s, an outdoor adventure centre for teenagers learning to rock climb and sail. That closed in 1989, and Drake's Island simply sat there, abandoned, for 3 decades, slowly reclaimed by geese and silence. It only reopened to visitors in 2020. 6 acres, and it's somehow been almost everything an island can be. Then nothing, then something again. Number 13. Bass Rock, Scotland. From a distance, Bass Rock looks like it's covered in snow. It isn't. Every visible surface, every ledge, every crevice is packed with northern gannets. Over 150,000 of them at peak season, making this single volcanic plug in the Firth of Forth the largest gannet colony on the planet. That's more birds than the population of most British towns, crammed onto a rock barely a mile around. The noise alone is reportedly deafening before you're even close enough to smell it. Bass Rock isn't just a wildlife spot. It's a demonstration of what happens when one species finds one perfect, undisturbed patch of stone and simply never leaves. Number 12. Davaar Island, Scotland. So how does a secret painted in a sea cave end up mistaken for a message from God? In 1887, a Campbelltown art teacher named Archibald McKinnon rode out to Davaar, slipped into one of its caves, and painted a life-size crucifixion scene, telling no one. When local fishermen stumbled on it, they assumed a miracle had occurred. The truth came out. McKinnon was run out of town for the deception, only allowed back years later to restore his own work twice. You can still reach the cave today, but only across a shingle causeway that the tide swallows completely within hours. Number 11. Looe Island, England. Looe Island is only 22.5 acres, but it holds two buildings that tell opposite sides of the same story. The first cottage here was built by smugglers, using the island as a staging post for contraband ferried over from the tax-exempt Channel Islands. The second was built decades later by customs officials, specifically to shut that trade down. Same patch of land, same waterline view, entirely opposing purposes. Today it's a quiet nature reserve managed by the Cornwall Wildlife Trust. But for 2 centuries, this tiny island off Looe was a genuine battleground between smugglers and the law, and both sides left a house behind to prove it. Number 10. Rathlin Island, Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland's only inhabited offshore island used to hold over 1,000 people. Today, that number sits around 140, a population that's shrunk by nearly 90% since the 1820s. And yet, in July 1898, this same quiet island hosted something genuinely historic, the world's first commercial wireless telegraphy transmission, sent from Rathlin's East Lighthouse to the mainland by employees working under Marconi. So while its population was already fading, Rathlin was quietly rewriting the rules of global communication. It's a strange kind of legacy, a shrinking island that, for one moment, connected to the future faster than almost anywhere else on Earth. Number 9. Burgh Island, England. Picture checking into a 5-star Art Deco hotel, and the only way back to shore at high tide is a giant hydraulic vehicle on stilts, wading through the surf while you sit above the waterline. That's not a gimmick, that's the actual, current sea tractor at Burgh Island, its 3rd generation dating back to 1969. Guests here have included Agatha Christie, Noel Coward, and reportedly Churchill himself. At low tide, you can simply walk across the sand. At high tide, you take the tractor, or you don't go at all. It's a hotel that turns basic arrival logistics into genuine theatre. Number 8. Eilean, Donan, Scotland. Here's the part most people get wrong about Scotland's most photographed castle. It isn't actually old. In 1719, British warships bombarded Eilean, Donan, and the defenders' own gunpowder store, 343 barrels of it, was used to finish the job, blowing the fortress into rubble. For nearly 200 years, it sat as an empty ruin, visited only by weather and the occasional sea eagle. Then, in 1912, one man began a 20-year rebuild from the surviving ground plan, finishing in 1932. So that iconic postcard image, the one on 1,000 whiskey labels, is barely a century old, built stone by stone from memory and guesswork. Number 7. St. Michael's Mount, England. When the tide pulls back off Mounts Bay, a cobbled granite path appears out of nowhere, connecting this castle-topped island to the town of Marazion. When I checked how long that window actually lasts, it turned out to be just a few hours, twice a day, before the sea reclaims it completely. And this isn't a museum piece. Around 35 people genuinely live on the mount, inside a working medieval castle still owned by the same family since the 1650s. So twice daily, an entire functioning village disappears from the mainland's reach, then reappears right on schedule, tide permitting. Number 6. Iona, Scotland. Iona is barely 3 miles long, home to around 120 people today, smaller than most city neighborhoods, and this is where it gets genuinely strange. In 563 AD, an exiled Irish monk named Columba landed here with just 12 companions and founded a monastery. From that single tiny outpost, Christianity spread across mainland Scotland and eventually reached deep into northern England and Europe. Kings from Scotland, Ireland, and Norway were later buried on its shores. An island this small shaped the religious identity of an entire nation, proof that influence was never really about square footage. Number 5. Islay, Scotland. Do the math on Islay and it stops making sense. Around 3,000 people live here, smaller than most single London neighbourhoods. And yet this one island runs 9 working whisky distilleries, with more under construction. That's roughly 1 distillery for every 300 residents, all producing some of the most recognised single malts on earth, shipped to more than 60 countries from a handful of villages most people couldn't locate on a map. The peat, the water, the coastline, all of it feeding an entire global industry, concentrated onto a rain-lashed strip of land you can walk across in an afternoon. Number 4. Shetland Islands, Scotland. Shetland's capital, Looe, sits closer to Burgh, Norway, than it does to Edinburgh. When I checked the actual distances, that single fact reframed the whole archipelago for me. This is technically Scotland, but geographically, culturally, even in accent, it leans Norse. Around 100 islands make up Shetland, though only 16 are inhabited, holding a combined population of roughly 23,000 people. So this is a UK territory whose closest major city isn't in the UK at all. It's Scottish on paper, Scandinavian by proximity, an identity shaped entirely by which direction the North Sea happens to be shorter. Number 3. Isle of Arran, Scotland. Arran earns its nickname Scotland in miniature, the hard way. A single geological fault line runs straight through this 167 square mile island, splitting it into jagged highland peaks on one side and gentle lowland farmland on the other. And this is where it gets genuinely strange. In 1787, geologist James Hutton studied that exact fault line near Loch Ranza and used it to help prove the Earth was millions of years old, not thousands, upending centuries of belief. So one island, home to just 4,600 people, quietly reshaped how humanity understood the age of the entire planet. Number 2. Jersey, England. Most people assume Jersey is simply part of the UK. It isn't. When I looked into its actual status, the details were wilder than the assumption. Around 100,000 people live here, under their own government, with their own currency, the last surviving remnant of the medieval Duchy of Normandy, predating the modern United Kingdom entirely. It sits outside the UK, outside the EU, tied to the Crown but governing itself. So this small channel island that most travellers photograph as quintessentially British is, legally, something else altogether. A 9-mile strip of land answering to nobody but itself. Number 1. Isle of Skye, Scotland. Rising from Skye's Trottenish Ridge, the Old Man of Storr is a 55-metre basalt pinnacle formed by a landslip roughly 60 million years ago. It's been visible for miles, to sailors and travellers alike, for that entire span of geological time. And here's the part that still doesn't sit right with me. Nobody actually climbed it until 1955. Millions of years standing in plain sight, photographed today by thousands of visitors a year. And it took modern humans this long to simply reach the top. Skye earns the number 1 spot for exactly that. Scale so vast it makes recent history look like an afterthought.